Okay, Chloe here with Rooted Dog Training, and we have another question from our post for Q&As. So, just as before we get into this, we're actually going to talk about e-collars. Chelsey has a question about, she just started e-collar training and her dog's a little nervous about it, so we're going to talk about that. But first off, if you have a question regarding your dog, maybe you got a new dog, a new puppy, a dog behavior issue, whatever you got going on, feel free to post these questions when you see that post. We want to answer your questions, so take advantage of that when you see it on our Facebook page. So if you follow us, you can definitely take advantage of that. But let's get into Chelsey's question here. She asks, kind of briefly go over this. Recently started using the e-collar with my 5-year-old English bulldog, boxer mix. He is so terrified of it. He won't look at me when he has it on. I have not been using it as a punishment. I use low levels for come sit in place, but he seems to still hate it. I'm not sure how to help him. I mainly got it because he is just way too strong when I walk him and pulls me around, but I don't want him to be scared of the e-collar. Yeah, for sure. She also goes on to mention that she's used other tools like the prong collar, things like that for the walk, halty. She's using, because I was curious of what kind of e-collar she was using, and she's using the Sport Dog e-collar. She's not sure what version, but that's okay. And it's pretty good with commands, but terrible at walking, especially when he sees other dogs. He starts barking. So she's got a reactive dog, especially on the leash, it seems like, on the walk. So it seems like she started training, but she's kind of hit a wall here. That happens sometimes, and we just need to kind of refocus and see how we're using these tools, making sure that we fully understand them and that we're using them correctly, and that we understand our dog as well. So if the dog is scared of the e-collar, why might that be, is pretty much her question. And how can she work through it? So my first off, I have a few points because there could be some variables to this answer, but I'm going to do my best for you. First off, Sport Dog brand, I'm not a huge fan of it. That's my personal opinion, only because and I know it can be kind of a popular remote with some training companies for whatever reason, but they only, I think most models, if not all, have about 7 or 8 levels. And that can really get you in a sticky situation because they are a lot more powerful in a low level setting, or a lot more intense. Versus I like to use the Mini Educator by e-collar Technologies, and there are other brands out there that are similar to e-collar Technologies, but that's the one that I just kind of favor. And the reason why I like them is because they can use 0 to 100 levels. So I can really play around with it and find the most appropriate level for my dog without them getting nervous about it, especially in those beginning stages when you're just conditioning the dog to the e-collar, where you're just trying to get them to understand what it is. Because if you are going and using, let's say with the Sport Dog, and you're doing like a level 3, that might be kind of high in comparison to the Mini Educator, when a 3 most dogs don't even feel. So because you have 100 levels to play with, so you just have a big range. But anyway, so that might be part of the problem. You might think you're using a low level, but in reality to the dog, it might not feel that way. So I'm not sure what levels you're starting out with. And if a 1, they feel it, then a 1 is good to start out with. It's all about finding that working level. So you need to find what is the level that they first feel it at. So I would imagine they'd probably feel it at a 1 because you only have 7 levels. So that would be my imagination in relation to maybe like the collar that I use. That might be between like a 0 and a 10 on that, or a 0 and a 15. So I'm not quite sure, but that might be part of the problem. Is it's just already too intense, even at that level 1. Because some dogs are just really sensitive, and if it's too high for them, then they're gonna they might yelp a little bit just on that level 1. So that might be part of the problem, and so now they have a negative association with the collar, versus if if I was working with a client and we're working at such low levels that you barely even see, I mean, does the dog feel it? We have to like kind of double check. So that would be my first little tip, is to see, you know, what kind of levels he feels it at. And then what else? And then making sure that, I know you said you're not using it as a punishment, or in other words, a correction level yet. So make sure that you do the foundation work with him first, making sure that you're prompting with the e-collar, with the commands, and then once he understands what the e-collar means, then you can move to correction levels. But I think you already understand that. The other thing you can do is, because I'm not really sure in what way he's fearful of it, if it's just the fact that just putting it on, he doesn't like it, if he gets kind of like wiggly and just kind of a brat about it, then what I would do is start just collar conditioning him. And that would mean just practicing putting on the collar, like not even using it, just putting it on. So, and the way you would go about that is it's usually you would want to use food. Definitely use food. So have some food ready. It doesn't have to be like these high value treats. It could just be his regular kibble if that's what you feed him. But you could also use treats or whatever kind of food for him. Okay, and then just showing him the collar and having him look at it or whatever. It could be near him, right? And then marking him with yes. Yes will be your marker. And then as soon as you say the word, you reward him with food. Okay, and then you move into the next phase and putting the collar around his neck. Yes, good boy. Give him the food. Okay, and then you start leaving it on, right? You put it on, strap it on. Yes, good boy. Give him the food. And then I would just start having him wear it around the house without even using it. Don't press any buttons. You don't have to turn it on. Just get him used to wearing the collar and being comfortable with it and realizing like, oh, this is no big deal. And then doing engagement work with him, making it kind of like a positive thing. Like really bond with your dog. Go play with him while he has it on. Make it fun, because ideally, I mean, really, with a lot of my clients and even my own personal dog, when I go get the e-collar, she like kind of jumps for joy and gets excited because like, oh, okay, that means we're like, typically when we use it nowadays, because for the most part she's pretty trustworthy, and I don't have to use it for everything, although she wears it every day. But when I do grab it, maybe because we're going on a walk. Maybe it's because we're going to go do social time with another dog. Maybe we're just going to go outside, you know, or maybe we're going to go on some kind of adventure. We're going to take her for a drive or whatever. So we have it on. It's always our seatbelt, just in case tool. So so they start building that positive association with the collar. It's like, yeah, it's a correction tool, but to them it's like, oh, I get to have fun. Like I get to be included. We get to do something. So over time, it will get better. You may just have to do just these little things like condition your dog to getting used to the e-collar. But I did want to make another side note for you, because you're dealing with dog reactivity. The e-collar is going to be an awesome tool for you as you work through the foundation first and getting your dog used to it. It's going to be a great tool. Just make sure that you know how to really correct the dog with it. Because eventually you're going to have to, those levels are going to have to go up when you start correcting your dog for behaviors, especially if you're dealing with dog reactivity. So it's going to be a higher level, and yeah, you're probably going to see some reaction to your dog because we have to make it uncomfortable for bad behaviors, right? For dangerous behaviors. So make sure that you understand how to do that, and if you don't, feel free to reach out to us. We deal with this kind of behavior all the time, so definitely we can walk you through on how to overcome it and by using the e-collar. So, but as far as the prong collar, I saw that you use it, but you didn't think it worked very well. You know, every tool, just like the e-collar, it's all about educating ourselves on how to use these properly and how to fit them properly too. A lot of times when dog owners go grab prong collars, they hear, oh, they work great, right? But then they put it on and it doesn't work. You gotta make sure that you're fitting it right. Make sure it's fit snug, all that kind of stuff, and make sure that you know the technique of how to correct the dog. Because if your dog's pulling still, that's a little off to me. Like a prong collar, like you can fix a dog pulling like in a matter of minutes. So at least for like 99% of these dogs. So just kind of think about that. I have a prong collar video on our YouTube page, so go ahead and check that out, Rooted Dog Training on YouTube, and it's a DIY video of how to kind of fit a prong collar, how to use it, that sort of thing. So go check that out. That might be helpful to you. As well, we got some other e-collar videos on there to help you kind of get familiar with it. But yeah, I hope that answers your question. So pretty much making sure that your levels are correct, and then conditioning your dog to the e-collar, and that might mean changing the brand if you're having a hard time finding that low level. To teach them to condition your dog to the e-collar and work through that foundation part. But yeah, hope that was helpful. Let me know if you have any further questions. I'd be more than happy to help you. And take care, everybody. Bye.